Sup, guys? So back with you. Better Off Dead, Sunday, May 25th. 3-2 on the show yesterday. Of course, we had the really easy NBA winner on the Minnesota T-Wolves with an absolute blowout win as they were up by, I think, at least 50 points at some points in that game or close to it. One of just completely annihilating the Thunder in that one. Nice bounce back win for them. Hockey, I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. I'm going to try to go back to the well with some more hockey today, but that I've been good in the playoffs in general in hockey this year. I think I'm winning in the NBA playoffs as well, even though that's kind of hit a lull, but I started off so hot in the NBA playoffs. It's still a win there as well, but Carolina Hurricanes, actually pretty surprising. They just cannot do anything in this matchup. Carolina, by the way, has lost 15 straight conference championship series games, which is insane. That's got to be some sort of record, man. I mean, and I'm fading that. I faded it the last two games. I thought it was a good spot. Anderson is just not getting the job done for them, assuming he was in net again last night. I don't know what to tell you about that. The Milwaukee-Pittsburgh over did not hit, and we saw, I think, 19 hits combined in that game, and yet they only scored 3 runs. I mean, that is kind of an outlier there. If you're putting that many men on base, you're probably going to see more runs get scored more often than not than that. Just kind of ridiculous there. So I think I got a little bit unlucky on that one. Cubs-Cincinnati did go over, although we needed some late runs, I think, from one of the teams. I don't even remember which. I think the Cubs, I think, were losing, and then they scored a few runs late to kind of cut the deficit, if I'm not mistaken. They still lost, but I think a few late runs from the Cubs got that thing over. It actually got up to 10 as well. So even if you took the over 9.5, it still went over. There were 9s at minus 120 out there as well, so that probably would have been the better way to play it. And then Atlanta, I'm going to list this as a win on the show, even though the starting pitching matchup didn't happen. And the way that I usually do things is that I mentioned this yesterday with Landon Knack, whatever start he was going to make. He's starting today, by the way, as well, at least according to the schedule right now. The game that he didn't actually wind up starting, that would have been a no bet for me because really, if the team that I'm on is not going to start the starting pitcher, I won't come back and actually bet. Of course, as I have to clarify, as I've been doing this week, I'm not actually betting any of these games right now, but I am giving out picks as if I were still betting these games. And I've been decent the last few days too. So a big day the day before yesterday. So maybe I should be because I'd be winning money. But in baseball, you usually specify, books will almost default to this. These starters, the listed starters must start, otherwise it's no bet. So if you see that the starting pitching matchup changes, of course, if your starter on the side that you like isn't going to start, and then you just don't like, oh, they're going with a bullpen game or something, all right, then just leave it alone, get your money back, and just, not bet it again. But in a situation like yesterday, San Diego was actually the team who didn't start Michael King, so I would have rebet Atlanta at that point, even though the number might have gone up a little bit. So I'm going to still count that one as a win because I still liked everything about that situation. And then San Diego went with a bullpen-ish kind of game, and the guy that they had out there to start the game had horrific numbers against Atlanta, so that still would have put me on Atlanta yesterday. So I'm going to count that one as a win. So a 3-2 day overall. We'll talk about today. Oh, hold on a second here. I got to delete all these banners here, man. I've got to control the banners. All right, so today I'm going to have an NBA play, an NHL play, a WNBA play, which those last two, I think, are kind of going against the market. And then I will say, I don't think I'm seeing the baseball board today very well, to be honest, but I do have 3 baseball plays. Andrew, what's up, man? All right, let's get into it, man. So NBA, I honestly don't know if I love this, but this is kind of the end of the road here. And if you get some reffing that might help you out a little bit, that might help the team that's down in the series out a little bit to try to, because the NBA wants more games, right? It's kind of a money game. So I think there is some rigging going on where they want these series to be extended a little bit more just so they can make more money on more games. So I'm going to recommend a play on the Knicks plus the points, +2 here. I know, the public's not going to want it, so that's part of the reason why I do kind of like it, even though I am rooting for the Pacers in this series. I mean, as a Celtics fan, what do you want from me? And I know a team that goes up 2-0 on the road wins most of those series, almost all of them. So I think it's like a 46-6 record or something like that Indiana has on their side now. But that doesn't mean they're going to win this game. And I think they might drop this game at home as the Knicks basically are fighting for their lives. Like, they absolutely need this to stay alive in any capacity at all. Of course, Indiana's going to try to speed up the game, and they've been able to do that in the series so far, and that has not benefited the Knicks, as the Knicks have not been able to slow the game down enough. They seem too willing to kind of play fast with these teams that go fast, and that just has not worked. But I do think this is not only, we're getting the team that is essentially up against the wall here. They have their backs against the wall, and we're getting them as an underdog this time. But it's kind of this road revenge angle here as well, where if a team loses at home, it's it's almost a stronger zigzag in a way, playing that team on the road in the next game. We saw that with the Celtics. Of course, the Knicks are not as good as the Celtics, even though I know they beat the Celtics, but the Knicks, there's not that much of a gap between the Knicks and the Pacers skill-wise. As you can see, the Knicks throughout the series have only been kind of listed by the odds makers as a slight favorite in the series overall. The Knicks have been like a 4.5 point favorite. I know they were a 6-point favorite in game 2, something like that. So now the line in this game is basically about what you would expect with Indiana. Actually, it's a little bit too far in the Indiana direction. I think with Indiana being -1.5, -2, you might expect it to be maybe Indiana -1, maybe it would make sense. So it's not too far off, but it seems like the books have adjusted. They haven't adjusted it enough to account for the zigzag, in my opinion. The Knicks are going to have the adjustments to make. They're going to be, I think, the additionally motivated team here and have the things to fix. So I like that about the Knicks as well. Although, granted, neither game was a blowout, so that does kind of make this a little bit more dicey. Like, I like to play teams that got blown out in the last game more because they really have the adjustments to make. But I do still think Indiana, they're going to cool off in some game here, man. Their shooting has just been too hot. And this last game, 51.8% from the field, 43.3% from three. That's a pretty high percentage. And yes, the Knicks are a bad three-point defending team. They don't defend the three well. I understand that. So I don't know if there's going to be that much of a drop-off from the Pacers. But I think there's room for some regression here from the Pacers, even though, yes, they are going to be at home. The crowd's going to be going crazy. But I do think that there should be some regression there. So I do think the Knicks probably should be the right side in this game. And then I forget what else was I going to say. I was going to say one other thing about this game. Well, we can look at the market read. You got 56% of tickets are on the Pacers now. I mean, the public seemed like they were slightly on the Pacers even to begin with in this series, and now they are. So still line up from 1.5 to 2 now, but 66% of the cash coming back in on the Knicks. And I am going to agree with the market on that one. So I'm agreeing with the market read. It's a pretty strong market read, actually, with a ticket versus cash disparity where the percentages are on opposite sides. You usually want to be where the cash percentage is because that means that's where the actual professional money is. That's where the bigger bets are. The ticket percentage means the smaller, larger quantity of smaller tickets are on that side. That's the recreational bettors, if that makes sense. So we will recommend to play on the Knicks here. The total is sitting at 223.5, which I think is actually a little bit down, I want to say, from the other two games. Maybe it's not. Actually, it probably shouldn't be, actually, because it's at Indiana. So it might actually be up a little bit, but I'm not sure that I would agree with going over this. If the Knicks are going to try to get this game, they're going to need to slow the game down. So I think the Knicks are probably correlated to the under in this game. We do see 83% of tickets, 94% of the cash on the over, though, which worries me a little bit. But again, I do think we see the Knicks get a game, even though the one issue is, like I said, the Knicks did not get blown out in either game. So like I said with game 2, I didn't like the zigzag that much in game 2 because the way the Knicks just collapsed in game 1, I didn't think that lent itself that well to a bounce back in game 2, even though I know I tried to play it with the Celtics in their first series just because they're the way better team. In this series, neither of these teams is way better than the other team. So I held off of it. But in this game, the Knicks were losing for the entire late stretch of the game. And they were the team that actually came back and fell short. But that does worry me a little bit that the Knicks put in that effort late and then still fell short. I mean, that's still the type of thing that could linger a little bit. But I just think with their backs up against the wall, with room for regression here, getting them as an underdog, I just think you got to do it. So that's what we're going to do there. Next up, hockey. We're going to go with Dallas as a nice underdog price here, even though I know they're going to be on the road here. Edmonton is a decent home team, although they're not as strong home team as like Carolina. A couple of these other teams have stronger home ice, LA, Vegas. Although, of course, Dallas having to go up to Edmonton, it's not the easiest thing, but Dallas, I mean, they're an experienced team, so they're used to playing road playoff games, so I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue, and I think the benefit that Dallas has here is they just played against Winnipeg, so they had to go up to Winnipeg. And yes, granted, they only won the first game against Winnipeg on the road. They lost the other 2 games on the road, so that's not a great sign that they probably should have actually lost all 3 games at Winnipeg. But the good thing is for Dallas that they're used to going up to Canada, so they're used to this travel because they just did it in the Winnipeg series. So it's not going to be that like foreign to them, pun intended, I guess. So Dallas, because they're the team that faced Winnipeg, that actually I think gives them a little bit of an edge going to Edmonton. And we're looking at a Dallas team trying to bounce back from getting shut out. And I like the zigzag here, and I've been correct about both these games. I only recommended a play on one of them. I recommended a play on Edmonton in game 2 in the zigzag. I got that one right. So I had that one right. I was right on the lean on Dallas in game 1. So my Dallas series leans have been crazy. I gave out 5 plays. Actually, I think I made all 5 plays. While I was still employed back during the Dallas-Winnipeg series. I went 5-0 on the side bets in that series, 5-0 on the bets because I don't really do totals in hockey. So I've had a good read on these Dallas series. Hopefully it continues. I like Dallas here, man. Playing on a team that just got shut out. It hasn't worked every time, but it does work, I think, a decent amount of time. We're getting, as I said with Carolina, I know they lost yesterday as an underdog, but when you're playing an underdog like this, you don't need them to win every single time. You're just saying you think they have a better chance to win than what the odds are, so you just need them to win 40% of the time. So I think we can get that with Dallas. Dallas is a very competitive team. They're still a pretty decent team on the road. And both of these teams are decent on the road. So I'm expecting it to be a close game. Dallas is going to have the adjustments to make after getting shut out, which was embarrassing. And do you think Skinner is going to pitch another shutout this time? Because I really don't think so. I don't even know if it's going to be him or Picard in net, though. So Edmonton might put Picard in there. But I like Dallas's goaltending better, man. Even though Ottinger didn't really have the greatest game in the last game here, I still think he's the better goalie. He's been the better goalie this season. Edmonton has had some goaltending lapses. So I like Dallas for those reasons. I think they're the more balanced team for that reason. Edmonton is much more offense-oriented. And yes, Edmonton is definitely tough to beat at home. I will say that. So hopefully Dallas can get it done. But Dallas is one of the best teams in the NHL. So they do have the ability to do it. Dallas, I think, was the better offensive team. I mean, they won almost 60% of the faceoffs despite losing that game. The problem was the Oilers were the more physical team, but Dallas got sent to the penalty box twice as much, basically. They had twice as many penalty minutes, so that hurt them as well. Even though Edmonton was the more physical team, I think the reffing was kind of biased in that game. You got to be worried about maybe it will be again in this game because it is at Edmonton, but Dallas did win a large percentage of the faceoffs. The shot differential was exactly even, so the game wasn't really as lopsided as it looked, other than the fact that Edmonton put together a really physical game and didn't get penalized for it. But we'll see what happens here. That might not be as much the case here. So I'm going to grab Dallas to bounce back. I think you'll get a better goaltending performance out of Dallas this time, probably a worse one from Edmonton. So we'll go with Dallas in this one. We'll go with the zigzag. Dallas on the road, used to playing in Canada at this point because they already have been doing it for a series already. So we'll go with Dallas in that one, plus the money there. Your brother, don't put it all on me, man. Now, the one issue is I will say I'm going against the market here, man. I'm going against the market with this and the WNBA play, and I like the WNBA play I'm going to give out. But you can see Edmonton's up from minus 145 to minus 161. It does mean we're getting more value on the Dallas money line. The money line has moved significantly on Edmonton. They are public, though, because the public loves these teams that could score like Edmonton and seeing them win 3-0. Public is back on board with them. 73% of tickets, 79% of the cash coming in on them. And hey, if Edmonton does win, those chicks that like flash their tits or whatever, all those Edmonton Oiler fans that like show their Oiler orbs out there on Twitter and whatever, they're going to be showing their tits again. So at least that's a silver lining, at least. But hopefully the bet gets there, man. I don't want to be wrong. I don't like being wrong either. Xerox, good morning to you as well. So hopefully the Dallas play gets there. I mean, at the very least, we're fading the Public with that play, even though it looks like more of the money is on Edmonton for now. WNBA, we got 4 plays today. Now, Connecticut, Atlanta, I'll just point out, Atlanta played last night, and they beat Dallas, although they didn't beat them by that much. Of course, Dallas is a team that's, trying to is find their wings a term? I don't know. It would be a pun because they're the Dallas Wings, but Dallas, they have Buckers there, as I keep mentioning, the number 1 draft pick. They got new faces there, so they're still trying to gain chemistry there. So they actually played Atlanta pretty close yesterday. So I could see Atlanta, this handicap going both ways. Like either they played a close game against a team they should have beaten more easily last night and they'll be pissed, or they'll be a little bit tired because they played last night. So they're the only team today playing on a back-to-back. And they are playing a bad team, Connecticut, that they might just overlook, as Connecticut, I think, lost some of their best players that they had. So I don't want to touch this game. The line has moved up on Atlanta from 8 to 9.5. They are definitely the way better team here, but again, there is a drawback where you're playing them on a back-to-back if you do want to play Atlanta there. But again, they might be a little bit more focused just because they didn't play a great game last night against a bad team, and they are, at the very least, they are staying at home, so not having to travel. Chicago is playing against the Sparks, LA, and LA is not favored by that much. They're actually up from 3.5 to 6 now, even though it says 4.5 here. This line has been shooting up. So, I mean, take from that what you will. Chicago, of course, is Angel Reese's team, and they are probably one of the worst scoring teams in the WNBA, and they have not played well at all. They're 0-2 with a couple of real ugly losses so far, although it's to 2 decent teams. 2 good teams even, I would say, in Indiana and the Liberty, who are the returning champs. So they should get a little bit better. They're actually stepping down in class to face LA here, as LA is not as good as either of those other teams. LA, though, I think they're going to be a little bit pissed because they just lost to Golden State, which was a really ugly home loss, where LA was a 10.5-point favorite, and they lost that game. So I think LA is going to be in a foul mood here, and they will want to bounce back here. They are the better team if they do show up, so I would agree with the line move there. I would lean to LA there, but it's not quite something I want to do with Chicago. Maybe putting together a better performance themselves and stepping down in class. The play I will recommend in the WNBA is the Phoenix Mercury minus the 5, even though I know this line has gone down for some reason from 7 to 5. I don't know if that means, just like with the Lynx in their first game, does that mean that there's some player or two that aren't going to be playing for the Phoenix? I don't really know, but I think this is the right spot for it. And if they're missing a player or something, they might just play extra hard to try to compensate for that injured player. So it would be an injured player there, and I think you just get line value on it. I just think the spot for Washington is horrific. I mean, look at what Washington just did in their last game. Well, first of all, they're playing a 4th straight road game, which is really not easy to do. So their scheduling spot is awful, with 1 day off in between each of the last 3, even though they're all kind of in the same area, Golden State, Las Vegas, Phoenix, but still 3 different cities. Not easy. And what did they just do in their last game? They just went to Vegas and they tried to spoil the home opener for the Las Vegas Aces as 15.5-point underdogs. Washington was winning this game throughout the entire game, and then they blew it right at the end and lost the game. I think on a buzzer beater, actually, if I'm not mistaken, or almost so. I think it was a buzzer beater, yeah, because it says Jackie Young tied the game with 11 seconds left, and then somehow Vegas got the ball back one more time. And I think they hit a buzzer beater 3 right at the end there, which was one of these ones that was way out there, I think, because I saw some videos of it. And if you look at the shooting percentages, this is a massive outlier of a game. Washington shot 50% from 3. That's not going to happen again. Even though they lost the turnover battle, they still almost won the game because Vegas shot horrifically in the game. 34.8% from the field, 24.2% from 3. So I think those are major outliers, man. So for Washington, they're not going to shoot 50% from three again. Their opponent is probably not going to shoot this poorly again. So I think we're going to see some major regression here. And whenever you have a team that's not a good team like Washington, they go in as a massive underdog like this, and they almost pull off a win. Not only that, but in a big game for that other team, it's against one of the best teams in the league, the Aces, in their season home opener, and Washington almost spoiled it and fell just short at the end. It's a major hangover spot for that team in the next game, so I don't like the spot for Washington at all. I think it's a terrible spot for Washington, whereas Phoenix, I played against them 2 nights ago, and they lost in Seattle. They're coming back home, yeah, but it's not even returning home from a road trip, really. They're just coming back home from one game out there. So I don't think you could say it's a return home spot where, these, women are going to get back to family life and whatever. What family life do they have, man? They're all lesbians, whatever. I'm not even kidding, actually, really. Phoenix, that was a game, that was a bad spot for them, right? Because they'd blown out Seattle 2 games prior to that. So I like Seattle to bounce back in that one. And Seattle was the better team. So Seattle, but the game was close, actually. Seattle pulled away in the game really late. The Mercury didn't even play that bad for a lot of the game, and they just actually really fell short in the second half, and they had 2 major scoring droughts in the second half, and that's what did them in, including right at the end of the game where they didn't score for the final almost 5 minutes of the game. They scored no additional points, so that got my Storm play a win there. That was a win for me the other night on this show. But Phoenix coming off that ugly performance, I think they're going to bounce back and have a bit of a better offensive performance this time, because this one, I think it was a pretty bad offensive performance from them. Actually, it was okay, 42.9%, 33.3%, but even so, losing the turnover battle, they may not be that bad in the turnover department at home. Usually teams are taking better care of the ball at home. They're playing a worse team here in Washington than Seattle, so Washington's one of the worst teams in the league. Don't let Washington's record fool you either. The fact that they won 2 games, they beat the hapless Connecticut Sun, and they pulled off a weird outlier upset to start the season against Atlanta, who is the way better of those 2 teams, so I would not take that much away from that. Phoenix is the right side, in my opinion, in that game, so that's the side there. They're in the nice bounce back spot. Washington's in a horrible spot. And then Seattle is having to play Las Vegas. I think Vegas is the right side in this one. I mean, they're coming off almost losing their home opener to the aforementioned Washington Mystics, almost getting upset as massive favorites. I think they took them very lightly. Now they're going out on the road again. I don't think they're going to take Seattle as lightly after that. And Seattle coming off a nice win. So I think Vegas is the right side in that game. The line is up from 4.5 to 5.5 there. It's weird that the game that I agree with the most, that I like the most, the line movement has actually gone against it. But I don't know why. I don't pay attention to the WNBA personnel. I'm just looking at situations. I think that's the best play. I would say Vegas is probably the second best. And then other than that, it's actually really hard to gauge the other 2. Then I would probably say LA, and then that Connecticut-Atlanta game really difficult to figure out. So that's the WNBA breakdown. Let's go to Major League Baseball, where I do have a play in the first game up, so I'm going to give it to you right away, even though it doesn't start for an hour. I'm going to play the run line, even though I know run line with a team at home, they don't get the last at bat in the 9th inning. I know it's a little bit dangerous, but this is the only way. If you want to play Detroit here, this is the only way to get the price. To get the price being right, the price is right here, man, is to just play it as a spread bet and hope that they just are able to do it. And I think they could do it, man. This is a big-time pitching mismatch. And Detroit, yes, I know I've talked about how they've kind of been a little bit overrated so far this season, just because they've beaten up on a lot of bad teams, but they're still really good at home. Now they have their ace pitcher on the mound up against a pretty bad pitcher for Cleveland, and Detroit is trying to avoid the sweep. This has been an awful series for them. They do not want to get swept at home, so I think the motivation is going to be largely in favor of Detroit here, even though, sure, Cleveland started the series 6 games back on them, and now they're 3 games back on them, but they've kind of accomplished their goal at this point in the series. Sure, they want to win this game as well, but I think Detroit's going to be extra motivated here. I mean, I think they're going to be in a foul, angry mood here, and they have the pitching edge. Yesterday, the game did go into extra innings, so it could have been a win for Detroit. Cleveland won the game really late. And yes, they did out-hit Detroit, so it wasn't totally misleading. But Detroit was up 3-0, and then they didn't score again until extra innings, which is very, very strange, really. And Cleveland wound up putting 4 runs on the board in the 10th inning, of course, including a stupid ghost runner, which they have to get rid of. Both teams use a similar amount of their bullpen, including Cleveland using a couple of their better relievers as well, including their Clase or Clace is still their closer, so I don't know. But the bullpen situation, I think, is about a wash here, to be honest. I don't think either bullpen is that significantly better than the other either. I would have to go look. I could bring up the bullpen stats again, but whatever. Starting pitching is a big factor here with Logan Allen pitching. And I think the public might be looking at this and thinking, oh, well, Cleveland's won all 3 games in the series, so public likes, they get recency biased, really, so they might not love Detroit at this huge price here, even though they know Skubal is really good. But they're going to be looking at this and thinking, well, maybe Allen can kind of battle him because his 3.86 ERA is pretty good. Yeah, but 1.53 whip is terrible. So that tells you he's really getting away with not pitching very well. He's putting way too many men on base. 34-21 strikeout walk ratio on the season is a horrific ratio. Plus, he's allowing more hits than innings pitched, so that is awful. I know he's only allowed more than 3 earned runs in 2 starts this entire season so far, but I think it's only a matter of time. If you're putting this many men on base, it's going to catch up with you. 2 of his last 3 starts, he didn't even go past 4 innings. And he walked 4 guys in one of those 2, and he's walked at least 1 in all of them. So he's not pitching well, man. I mean, he's walking too many guys. His numbers just aren't that great. 16-8 strikeout walk ratio this month, plus more than 1 hit per inning, tells you that 3.38 ERA this month is also misleading. And against Detroit's bats, Logan Allen has not done well in 28 at-bats. I know it's a small sample size, but Ibanez specifically wrecks him. 3 for 4 with 2 home runs. Torkelson is 2 for 4 with a home run off him and a walk. Overall, 5-3 strikeout walk ratio. Those 3 home runs allowed a 357 average, 1,169 OPS. So I think Allen is going to give it up in this game. And meanwhile, as I mentioned, Skubal is on the mound for Detroit. I mean, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. 2.87 ERA, 0.94 whip, 39-2 strikeout walk ratio this month. And yet his ERA is actually slightly worse than Allen's this month. I mean, the ERAs are just totally misleading this month. We know who the better pitcher is here. Skubal, I mean, that strikeout walk ratio is ridiculous, including well below 1 hit allowed per inning this month, and that's basically just a microcosm of the entire season. We know how good Skubal is, and against Cleveland, his numbers aren't dominant, but they're pretty good. In 87 at-bats, he's only allowed 1 home run, 22-4 strikeout walk ratio is really good, 253 average and 642 OPS, so he's pitched pretty well against them, even though he hasn't completely dominated them. I wish he had a little bit more of dominant stats against them, but Detroit is the right side here, man. The money is coming in on them as well, up from -210 all the way up to -280 now. 87% of tickets, 97% of the cash. So it looks like the public still is kind of on the Detroit side here, but if you like Detroit, you're going to have to get on this before the line gets way too crazy. I would say that if the line gets way too out of control on the run line, you have to start laying above like -120, -125, even for the -1.5 run line on this. It was at -1.5, -110 when I started the show, though. But if it gets a little bit crazier than that, I would say probably a Detroit team total over if you still want to have some money on Detroit. I think it's probably somewhere around 4.5, so it's really not that high. I mean, the total has dropped. As you can see, 57% of the tickets on the under, 82% of the cash on the under. So a lot of movement on the under, expecting especially Skubal to do really well here. Total drop from 7.5 to 7, basically. Only a slight drop there. So I think the team total is actually pretty low. So either you would go Cleveland under, but you're probably having to go under about 2.5 if you go with that, or Detroit over the 4.5 team total. I don't hate those ideas either in that game. Stacks, what's up, man? Good morning. Thanks for hanging out. But I think it's more likely that Detroit gets over their team total than Cleveland goes under theirs, to be honest. So, because with the bullpens possibly factoring in here, I don't know if I like that one as much. So I think you got more of a shot, I think, with Detroit getting over it, but we'll see. All right, Baltimore, Boston. They split the doubleheader yesterday as the Red Sox had a walk-off win in the first game, and then they lost the second game, and it actually wasn't Giolito's fault. Giolito actually pitched well in the second game, and still the Red Sox wound up losing the game. But now we got Dean Kremer against Walker Buehler. Kremer, I mean, I can't stand this guy. 5.5 ERA, 1.38 whip. His numbers aren't good against the Red Sox either. In 53 at-bats, 283 average, 798 OPS. So, looks like a spot where you probably want to fade Kremer, but do I want to touch Walker Buehler here? Not really. I mean, Buehler, as we know, got ejected early in the third inning of his last start against the Mets. So his start here has actually been moved up a little bit because I think he was probably going to start either tomorrow or the day after maybe or whatever. One of the next two games was probably going to be his start, but because he had a shortened start, he did throw 52 pitches, though, but they are letting him start on slightly short rest here. But I'm worried about that, man, because pitchers are creatures of habit, and if you throw off their schedule like this, although he threw off his own schedule, although really it was the umpire's fault. I mean, that call was ridiculous. That umpire was terrible in that game. The pitch was right down the middle. Buehler was absolutely correct, and they didn't even give him that much room for error there. Like, as soon as he complained, he gets thrown out, even though he was still at the mound. He hadn't even started walking towards home plate or anything. Just ridiculous. But his schedule might be thrown off a little bit, and you know me, I'm still not that much of a fan of him. His numbers are all right this year. 4 ERA, 1.19 whip. But again, if you look at his stats throughout his career, you can tell exactly where his injury happened, man. After 2022, his numbers just really started to completely fall off after that. He tried to come back from injury, didn't have a good season last year at all. His 2022 actually wasn't that good either, although that was his shortened, I think, injury season there, although he really hadn't been that great since even 2021 he did have a good season, so I don't know. Maybe Buehler is actually kind of returning to form a little bit. It is possible that one really bad season was an outlier. I don't know. He does have good numbers against Baltimore. 22 at-bats, a 9.0 strikeout walk ratio, 182 average, 591 OPS. So I guess probably still lean to the Red Sox here. I mean, both bullpens got kind of used up yesterday, but the Red Sox are very public, and it looks like the line is moving against them. I don't really get that. I mean, there's no way I would want any part of Dean Kremer here. Line down from -125 to -122, though. 93% of tickets, only 86% of the cash on Boston, who appears to be really public, as the public never really wants anything to do with this bad Baltimore team. But I'm going to stay away completely. Milwaukee and Pittsburgh. I wanted to find a way to maybe get money on Milwaukee here, or, recommend a play on Milwaukee, I should say, as I'm not putting my money on it right now. As Logan Henderson has been really impressive for Milwaukee so far in his rookie campaign so far. 1.69 ERA and 0.81 whip. I mean, you can't really argue with that, man. 23-4 strikeout walk ratio in 16 innings and 9 hits allowed. This guy looks like he might be the real deal, man. He's pitching really well so far. And I don't expect that to change against a really bad Pittsburgh offense who hasn't seen him before, which should give Henderson a little bit of an extra edge there. These young, good pitchers should have the extra edge against hitters that haven't even seen them before. So I definitely like Henderson in this matchup. Then if you look at Bailey Falter, his numbers are actually getting to be pretty decent this year. 3.5 ERA, 1.13 whip is kind of more than decent. And he's coming off 3 straight shutout performances, although granted, strikeout walk ratio wasn't good in those 2 starts against Atlanta and the Mets. 3-2 and then 3-5. That's not good, but he's coming off a 7-inning shutout against the Reds. 5 strikeouts, no walks. So debatably, he's in fairly good form right now, so I don't really want to fade Falter. And then his numbers against Milwaukee, even though they're a pretty good offense, 43 at-bats, 186 average against him, and 558 OPS. So Falter has done pretty well against Milwaukee. So the way that I would probably play this is actually a first 5-inning under, because I don't want to have anything to do with these 2 bullpens, man. So first 5-inning under is probably what I would look at here. And you could probably get it about under 4.5, maybe 4. But the total is actually up from 8 to 8.5 here. And the under has 56% of the tickets for some reason, I guess just because the public kind of says, oh, bad teams, let's go under. I mean, I don't understand it at all. And 84% of the cash on the over. So the money The market read looks like it's on the over, so that kind of dissuades me a little bit. And the money is coming in on Milwaukee, up from minus 105 to minus 137. 87% of tickets, 92% of the cash. I do think Milwaukee lost the last 2 games, so they are in kind of a bounce-back spot. They lost each game by 1 run. So I think Milwaukee is in a little bit of a bounce-back spot, so I don't hate the Milwaukee side. I do like Henderson. I think Milwaukee's bullpen is a little bit of an issue, but their offense certainly is way better than Pittsburgh's, and they're in the bounce-back spot. So I would not tell you not to lay the money line on Milwaukee there. Falter does have good numbers, so I don't really want to really fade him right now either. His numbers against Milwaukee are good, I should say. So I'm staying away. San Francisco and Washington, we got Robbie Ray, who finally suffered, he didn't suffer a loss, but San Francisco finally suffered a loss in a game that he was pitching, which is rare. That was the first time this entire season, and Ray still actually pitched really well in the game. Ray, he's having a good season. I still don't really totally trust him, but 2.67 ERA is really good. 1.22 whip is decent at least, and he's still pitching really well. Even in that game that his team lost, he went 7 shutout innings, so it wasn't his fault at all. 7-1 strikeout walk ratio, 29-8 overall this month, with a 1.38 ERA this month. So he's still in good form here, Robbie Ray. And up against Washington, good numbers in 40 at-bats, 225 average, a little bit of a high 715 OPS, though, because he has walked 7 guys, or he has 7 walks against them. 4 of them are Josh Bell. So his walk numbers are a little bit concerning, but he is pitching well. Michael Soroka, on the other hand, not doing as well. 5.95 ERA, 1.27 whip. Did have an 8-0 strikeout walk ratio in his last outing, though, and a 20-3 strikeout walk ratio this month is actually pretty good. So he's not walking guys, but he is getting hit pretty hard, allowing more than 1 hit per inning, allowing 3 home runs over that span, which is most of the season so far. So strikeout walk ratio is good, but he is giving up way too many hits, which has kind of been his issue here. And his numbers against San Francisco, it's a very small sample size, only against Adames and Flores, but they're 5 for 9 off him combined, with a home run, a walk, 1 strikeout, a 556 average, 1,600 OPS. So I think Ray probably has the upper hand in that pitching matchup. We do see the movement on San Francisco a little bit, but you're having to lay a bit of a price for them on the road, up from minus 152 to minus 157. 87% of tickets, 91% of the cash coming in on them. Do with that information what you will there, I guess. But, yeah, I would probably agree with that lean to the San Francisco side, but I don't think it's very strong. Cubs and Cincinnati, I would lean to the Cubs in this game. They are kind of in a bounce-back spot here after losing to Cincinnati yesterday. And the thing about this is Ben Brown for the Cubs, yeah, his numbers are awful this year. 5.44 ERA, 1.55 whip. That's really bad. But this month, he has a 27-2 strikeout walk ratio. So I think, to some extent, those numbers are a little bit misleading, man. As he's been striking guys out, this shows you that he does have command. So I think he's just been getting kind of unlucky this month to some extent. So I think he's better than his numbers would suggest here. And against the Reds, his numbers are actually quite good. In 23 at-bats, he has a 10-0 strikeout walk ratio. Has allowed 2 home runs, both to Friedel. So he has to avoid Friedel. But other than that, these guys really haven't done much of anything against him. 174 average, 609 OPS because of those home runs. But Brown has actually pitched pretty well against Cincinnati. The issue... Well, maybe this is not an issue either. Ben Brown actually has better numbers on the road. I was going to say maybe he's not going to be as good at Great American Ballpark, but this season so far, he has a 6.93 ERA at home and 3.74 on the road. So he's actually been better on the road. So that's another indicator towards the Cubs here. Nick Lodolo, pitching for Cincinnati. He's been pretty good this year. 3.22 ERA, 1.06 whip, and he's in pretty decent form as well this month with a 22-5 strikeout walk ratio. So his ERA is a little bit misleading as well, as he kind of had that one bad start against Washington in there, jacking up his ERA. But other than that, 4.76 this month. But other than that, he's pitched pretty well this month. But against the Cubs, his numbers are not good. In 56 at-bats, 12-9 strikeout walk ratio. Swanson and Happ each have a home run off him. 304 average, 936 OPS. So Lodolo, I think, has the way worse of the pitching matchup here. And then based on his splits, he's actually way worse at home, too. A 6.33 ERA at home this season and 1.45 on the road. So now I'm like, am I actually going to throw up last-minute play-in on the Cubs? I know I got caught in this series. I think, playing the Reds in the first game of the series. The money is definitely coming in on the Cubs here. Tickets, 62% in the cash, because they are definitely going to be a public team, but I'm wondering if that's misleading a little bit as far as the percentages are concerned, because this line is absolutely moving as we get closer to game time here. I think this is legitimate movement at this point. If you see the later movement, like as we get closer to game time, that's usually the legitimate side. And again, with Brown versus Lodolo, Brown's ERA is way worse than Lodolo, so it almost looks a little bit misleading to play it. I do like the splits, man. I'm going to look right now. Let me see. What can we do here? Can we get the Cubs at a decent price here? I'm just looking to see what we can get the Cubs at here real quick here. Yeah, the money looks like it is disagreeing with it and coming in on the Reds, but I don't agree with that at all, man. You can get minus 130 on the Cubs here. Should I throw that in as a play? Do I want to do it last minute play, go completely against the market read here? You know what? Yeah, hopefully I'm not being too loose with my picks here, but go with the Cubs money line, minus 130 there. They are in a bounce back spot as well, as they lost yesterday. I actually think it was maybe even a slightly misleading loss yesterday, if I remember correctly when I was looking at this. Let me look at the box score real quick here. Yeah, the Cubs actually out-hit them 11-9 and still lost the game. So, yeah, I mean, and the Cubs actually probably should have lost the game before that, though, but won. So we've had a battle of kind of misleading results here. But the Cubs, I mean, they do have the better offense as well. Neither bullpen is that great, so I think that's a little bit of a wash as well. But the splits and the pitching matchup, I think, are actually pretty, it's a pretty sneaky pitching matchup edge for the Cubs there. So I would say Cubs money line. I don't want to be loose with your guys' money if you guys are actually making these plays here, but I think it's a solid recommendation there. Toronto, Tampa Bay. Let's try to get this stuff done here. This is Chris Bassett against Ryan Pepio. Tampa Bay actually has overtaken Toronto in the standings in this series because they're on the verge of a sweep here, winning both games 3-1. I had Tampa Bay as a play on the show in the first game and got a win there. Now, I think Toronto's in a little bit of a better position here to try to win this game, as they're going to try to avoid the sweep. The sweep avoidal spot is usually a pretty strong situation. Chris Bassett is pitching. He's pitching pretty well right now for Toronto. 2.83 ERA, 1.22 whip, 22-4 strikeout walk ratio this month with a 3.13 ERA. He's in good form right now. Tampa just saw him, but I think both of these pitchers just faced these opposing lineups, so that's kind of a wash as well if that's the case, because usually if a lineup just saw a pitcher, they tend to do a little bit better against them the next time. But when it's a pitcher they've seen a bunch anyway, though, it doesn't matter as much. Like Bassett's been around for so long. Tampa's seen him a lot, 74 at-bats, and he has done okay against them. 22-4 strikeout walk ratio, 243 average, 728 OPS is a little bit high, but overall I'd say his numbers are pretty good against Toronto. He did pitch well against Tampa. I mean, he pitched pretty well last time out against Tampa, and Pepio was pitching for Tampa Bay. He pitched pretty well last time out against Toronto as well. He's better than his numbers would indicate, in my opinion. I think he's a decent pitcher. 3.99 ERA is not bad, but 1.31 whip. Yeah, he's putting too many men on base. But overall, I mean, his numbers really aren't that bad. 47-18 strikeout walk ratio. It's just kind of one of those things where it's just a few too many walks and a few too many hits, and that combination is jacked up his whip a little bit. But I think he's actually pretty good, and he has good numbers against Toronto in 34 at-bats, 10-2 strikeout walk ratio, 206 average allowed, and 544 OPS. So Pepio has really good numbers as well. So I don't want to fade Pepio here. I think probably the way to look at this would be probably the under, even though I know both games have gone under already. Either an under or first 5 under here. I mean, the bullpens, Tampa Bay's bullpen's pretty good. Both offenses aren't very good, so I don't really hate the full game under. I don't think the bullpens are really that taxed in this series here. 56% of the tickets and 64% of the cash coming in on the under. The line has gone up a little bit from 8.5, juice the over to 9, juice the under, but I think that move isn't really an indicator of anything. And Toronto has actually flipped from plus 100 to minus 108, but 61% of tickets, only 58% of the cash. So I actually think that the market read is probably saying that Tampa Bay might be the better side here to actually get a sweep. Pepio does have the better matchup numbers than Bassett does slightly, and Tampa probably does have a bullpen advantage as well. But I think under or first 5 under is probably the better way to look at that. Kansas City, Minnesota. Minnesota's, I believe, going for a sweep here as they've returned to form. They've won the first 2 games of the series in close games. So do we look to Kansas City to try to avoid the sweep? I'm not so sure that we do because Bubic is on the mound. Yeah, his numbers are really good this year. 1.47 ERA, 1.06 whip. He's pitching well. He's in pretty good form this month with a .36 ERA and 24-6 strikeout walk ratio. He did walk 3 guys in that starting in San Francisco. I think he was the one battling Robbie Ray in that game there. So he had a good start there, and the bullpens kind of decided that game. Actually kind of surprising that San Francisco's top bullpen in the Major League Baseball right now actually lost that game. Kind of surprising. The bullpen has been part of the reason why his starts had not resulted in any losses. But Bubic, even though all of that is good, he actually has not been good against Minnesota in 46 at-bats in his career. They've hit him well with a 391 average and 1,125 OPS. So surprisingly, Minnesota is not a great hitting team. They've actually kind of destroyed Bubic. So I don't think I really want to come in and try to play Kansas City to avoid the sweep here. Bailey Ober is a guy that I do like, although his 1.34 whip is kind of indicating there's a little bit something off about Bailey Ober right now. 3.68 ERA is good. I generally like him. I mean, he usually has a good strikeout walk ratio, 18-5 this month with a 2.89 ERA. None of that is bad. He hasn't allowed any more than 3 earned runs in any start going all the way back to his first start of the season. So he is getting it done, but in his last 2 starts, he didn't even go 5 innings. And in one of them, he threw 102 pitches and didn't make it. But in the other start, I'll give him a pass because he was actually pitching well against Cleveland. And I think a rain delay. I think that was that suspended game. So that was just it for him. The game got suspended, and then they just held him off until his next start, which is now. So I'm not going to give him any crap for that. He was actually pitching well in that game against Cleveland until the game got suspended. Overall, I do like Ober, but against Kansas City, his numbers are actually not good. In 116 at-bats, he's allowed 6 home runs, which are all across the board. And Salvador Perez is 8 for 22 with 2 home runs off him. Overall, a 302 average and 881 OPS. So this could be a sneaky overplay, man. Playing Ober over, which I almost never recommend, but I actually think the over is the right way to look at this game. And the numbers actually moved up from 7 to 7.5, basically. So I think the professional money seems to agree with me on this, that there is something to this, that both of these pitchers have good numbers this year and it looks like a pitcher's duel on the surface. But if you dig into these matchup numbers, I think it's actually the opposite. I think we could see some offense in this game. 62% of the tickets are on the under, but 90% of the cash on the over. So it almost looks like a pros versus Joes scenario where the money is coming in the over. I still don't quite want to do it just because I don't think these offenses are very good, but that is a low total. Although usually when it's a low total, the books are kind of telling you something. Usually you just want to go under the low total because that's usually why the total is lying that low in the first place, is because they're expecting a low scoring game. But in this case, I don't think that's the case. So I think an under is the right way to look at that game. Or an over, is the right way to look at that game. I'm not going to quite get there with that one, but that's the way that I would lean. Seattle, Houston, I know I recommended Seattle yesterday. It wasn't a play on the show yesterday, but it was a lean. I said it was basically the first one that I was leaving outside of actually recommending a play on it. And luckily, because Seattle actually lost the game 2-1, I think, but maybe they should have won the game. I do like Seattle in this game, though. Luis Castillo pitching, he's starting to turn it around. He's pitching pretty well. I mean, we know what we're going to get out of him, basically. He's a decent pitcher. 3.2 ERA, 1.26 whip. His numbers against Houston are actually good as well. And he's in decent form right now. A 2.63 ERA this month with a 16-6 strikeout walk ratio and well below 1 hit per inning, including a good start against the Yankees. So he's pitching pretty well right now. Against Houston, he has good numbers and 123 at-bats. He has a 37-2 strikeout walk ratio, which is really insane. I mean, that shows some domination there, some dominance of Houston. 203 average allowed and 468 OPS. So you're usually not going to see domination like this in a huge sample size like this for one starter against an opposing lineup. But we do have that here for Luis Castillo. And on the other side, Colton Gordon, I'm hesitating a little bit because even though his numbers don't look good, 5.59 ERA, 1.45 whip, those are bad numbers, but he has a 10-2 strikeout walk ratio. He did just post a 7-0 strikeout walk ratio in his most recent start, so he is kind of trending in the right direction. And we're looking at a Seattle team that's never faced him before. A pitcher, a young pitcher that has decent stuff, usually has a little bit of the upper hand here. So even though I like Seattle in this game, I think I got to stay away from it. And if you want to play on Castillo to kind of dominate the game, I think maybe Houston under their team total might be the way to look in this game. You could probably get it about under 3.5, maybe something there. I do still lean to Seattle, though, but I just don't think it's quite enough to make a play on it. But the money is agreeing with me. Up from -125 to -140, 63% of tickets, 91% of the cash coming in on Seattle. So I do still agree with that. I think Gordon still is the much less trustworthy pitcher there, so we'll see what happens. Texas is actually trying to avoid being swept by the White Sox. Who would ever have thought the White Sox might actually pull off a sweep? And is Patrick Corbin really the guy you want on the mound to try to avoid a sweep? Probably not, although I think he might actually be the better of these two pitchers at this point. Patrick Corbin, 3.59 ERA, 1.31 whip. I mean, his ERA is good. His whip is still not that good. His strikeout walk ratio this month is still not good, 17-9. I mean, he's still walking too many guys. He doesn't overpower guys. So I still think that we're going to get some regression out of Corbin here, man. His strikeout walk ratio on the season, 32-15, is not good. So I think he's kind of skating on thin ice a little bit. And the White Sox, even though their offense isn't good, they actually hit him well in 41 at-bats. Taylor is actually 4 for 10 off him. Michael A. Taylor, 4 for 10 off him with 2 home runs. Slater is 7 for 18 with a home run off him. 366 average overall for the White Sox and 1,049 OPS. So Corbin has not done well against the White Sox in his career. Davis Martin for the White Sox, I mean, his numbers are actually becoming decent, which is kind of strange. I mean, go figure. 3.49 ERA is nice. 1.27 whip, not awful. He's actually been pretty decent this month, allowing no more than 4 earned runs in any start. 3 or fewer in 3 of the 4. 15-2 strikeout walk ratio this month. I mean, he's not a guy that comes in and blows people away, but he's not walking guys either, so that's a decent sign, even though he's still too hittable. He's allowing too many hits. But other than that, he's actually been decent for a while now, actually going all the way back to April 5th when he allowed 7 runs to Detroit. If you take that start out and actually include his first start of the season, he's not allowed more than 4 earned runs in any start this season besides that one, which is actually kind of insane. Davis Martin, is he actually a serviceable pitcher? Maybe. A small sample size against Texas of 12 at-bats. He does have no strikeouts and 1 walk, which isn't great, but he's held to a 167 average. And because Garcia has a home run off him, a 731 OPS, which is a little bit high, so it's hard to gauge what you're going to get out of Martin. And actually, the money is coming in against Texas here, so the professional money seems to not like Patrick Corbin. They're public with 89% of tickets, because the public never wants anything to do with the White Sox, even though they're on the verge of sweeping Texas here. Only 71% of the cash on Texas, though, and down from -140 to -120, so the money actually is coming in on the White Sox, and I kind of agree with that side on the starting pitching matchup, so go figure. Arizona and St. Louis. I think St. Louis is actually on the verge of a sweep here, winning each game by 1 run. And we know, I keep pointing out that Arizona's bullpen is pretty bad. St. Louis isn't that good either, though. So I think the bullpen situation isn't that lopsided. Arizona has the better offense. So I think that kind of balances out the fact their bullpen is worse. And then if we look at the starting pitching matchup and the fact that Arizona's trying to avoid the sweep, it should be a little bit extra motivated here. Brandon Pfaadt is pitching. I mean, he's an okay pitcher, 3.81 ERA, 1.24 whip. He's pitching decently this month, sort of, but the fact that he struck out nobody in his last outing, even though he allowed only 3 earned runs, all on 3 solo home runs to the Dodgers, which is very strange. He only allowed 3 hits in that game against the Dodgers. All 3 of them were solo home runs, and he didn't strike out anybody. So that's one of the weirdest outings that you'll see. Like, was that outing good or was it not good? I mean, I would actually say it was not good, but it was against the Dodgers. But this month, he actually hasn't been that good. 5.57 ERA, 15-8 strikeout walk ratio, more than 1 hit per inning. He's struggling. Granted, he did face the Phillies, which was his worst start on the road, not easy. And then the Dodgers twice. But he did actually pitch well against the Dodgers the first of those 2 starts. And he faced San Francisco, which isn't really that easy either, on the road. So 3 of those starts are on the road. Pfaadt is actually worse on the road, though. Go figure, because Arizona is actually a very hitter-friendly park. But that's kind of the reason why I don't want to actually recommend a play on this, because as you'll see in a minute, I actually like the matchup numbers for Pfaadt here. But he's been way better at home this season with a 1.78 home ERA and a 6.15 ERA on the road. So he's been way worse on the road. Granted, he's faced some good hitting teams on the road, as I just showed you, so you can't take away everything from that. But it gives me some pause. But against St. Louis, he's been decent in his career. 36 at-bats, 250 average, but a 752 OPS is a little bit high. So I don't quite want to come in on Pfaadt for those reasons, because he's not good at home and because that OPS against is a little bit high. And Sonny Gray on the other side, I mean, I like Sonny Gray. He's good. A 4.02 ERA doesn't even tell you how good he actually is. 1.13 whip is pretty good. I mean, really good, actually. He's been good this month with a 28-6 strikeout walk ratio. That's good. 4.71 ERA this month is not telling you the whole story. He had one really bad start where he just got lit up against Philly. But I pointed out in that game, I think it was that game, I pointed out his numbers. Matchup numbers were actually really bad against Philadelphia. So I think we just had a bad matchup for him there. And if you look at his entire season, he's only allowed 5 or more, or he's only allowed more than 4 earned runs in 2 starts. He's only allowed 4 or more in 3 starts. So other than that, he's been very, very good. I mean, he's kind of hit or miss, though, and I'm talking about matchups here. And against Arizona, his matchup numbers are actually not good. In 42 at-bats, 333 average, 911 OPS. So Gray, he seems to be a guy that really just kind of sticks to the matchup numbers, really. It seems like whenever his matchup numbers are good against the opposing lineup, he actually is in form and he pitches well. And when his matchup numbers are bad against an opposing lineup, he doesn't do well. So he's actually, that makes him one of my favorite pitchers as well, because he's easy to handicap. So he doesn't do well against the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks trying to avoid a sweep. I do think they have a little bit of an edge here, even though Gray also, by the way, is better at home than on the road this year. So that gives me a little bit of pause as well. Significantly, actually. 3.05 home ERA and 6.75 on the road. So I don't really want to fade those home road splits between Pfaadt and Gray here, but I would slightly lean to Arizona because I do think Pfaadt has the matchup edge. Although the money seems to be disagreeing with me a little bit. 61% of tickets, 66% of the cash on St. Louis to actually get the sweep here, sitting at -120 with no movement on the line. So we'll see what happens there. Yankees in Colorado. I mean, I don't know what you want from this game. Probably, I think that the over would be the way to look here. I was right about Yankees team total yesterday. They went well over the 6.5 as they scored 13. And by the way, there's some stat out there with Colorado Rockies. Their pitching is so bad that their opponent's team total in games in Coors Field this year, Colorado's opponents have gone over their team total in 75% of the games. I think it's something really crazy like that. I think it was 18 out of 24 games or something like that. And now I think it's another one because the Yankees did it yesterday. So that's another notch there. Let me see. What's the Rockies? 6-21 at home. I think now they're 6-22 at home. So that's I had those numbers slightly wrong, I guess. So in whatever it is, but yeah, it's some ridiculous number where 75% of their opponent's team totals actually go over, even though you know that this is Coors Field. The Rockies are terrible, so their opponent's team total is always 6.5 there, and they're still going over it at a 75% clip. So that's crazy. So the Yankees did it again yesterday. If you wanted to do that again today, I would not tell you not to do that. Yankees team total over 6.5 or whatever again. That seems fine to me. I might just go full game team total over here, though, because Will Warren is pitching for the Yankees. His 4.05 ERA is decent. He's actually been pitching well this month. 1.29 whip is still bad. He's in decent form, though, with a 2.38 ERA and 34-6 strikeout walk ratio. So maybe we don't want to fade him because he's actually been lighting it up and racking up ridiculous strikeout numbers this month. So maybe we do actually want to just go Yankees team total over here if we do play this game, which I'm not going to recommend a play on it, but Will Warren's numbers are bad against Colorado. They're 6 for 9 off him. 667 average, 1,700 OPS with 3 doubles in there as well. So take from that what you will. But of course, Senzatella is the worst of the two pitchers. 6.34 ERA, 1.97 whip. I mean, it's basically like Colorado just doesn't have anybody else. So they continue to just let this guy go out there and just die on the mound, basically. 12-9 strikeout walk ratio this month. 34 hits in 20 to 30 innings pitch is ridiculous. Almost 2 hits per inning, and that's not even counting the walks on top of that. He's putting basically more than 2 men on base an inning this month, which is unbelievable. 7.97 ERA. And against the Yankees, not great numbers. 75 at-bats, a 293 average, and 839 OPS. You'd actually expect it to be worse with how bad Senzatella really is. But, yeah, I mean, I think full game over the total there makes sense, or Yankees team total over. Wouldn't disagree with either of those. Total's actually down from 11.5 to 10.5 now with juice. 90% of tickets and only 67% of the cash. So it looks like the cash is actually disagreeing with the over in this game too. Maybe just because of the Will Warren effect. Maybe they're actually expecting him to pitch somewhat decently in this game, pitch well in this game. But I would still probably be looking Yankee team total over or full game over. Philadelphia at the A's. So we have both of these series here in these really ridiculously hitter-friendly parks here. I said that the under actually might even make sense in yesterday's game with Philadelphia and the A's, and that did not happen. That game still went over. This game, I mean, Luzardo is pitching for the Phillies, and he has been really, really good this year. 1.95 ERA, 1.15 whip. He's dominating, man. I mean, this Phillies rotation, I mean, their starting pitching rotation might be the best in baseball, to be honest, because they're facing some good offenses, and they got Luzardo, they got Wheeler, Nola is still pretty good, starting to turn it around, assuming these guys aren't hurt. Christopher Sanchez is pitching really well. This is a really, really good starting rotation. Luzardo been pretty good this month, too, 26-8 strikeout walk ratio, 2.28 ERA, and against the A's, they basically haven't even seen him. They're 0 for 5 off him with 2 strikeouts. None of their hitters have reached base. Only Langoliers and Rooker have faced him before. So I think Luzardo does definitely have the upper hand here over Gunnar Hoglund, or Hoagland, however you pronounce his name. He's a rookie. I think he does have good stuff, but he's been struggling a bit. I mean, as some rookies tend to do. He had a good first outing, an okay second outing, and then bad outings the last 2 outings. I mean, you can give him a pass for getting rocked by the Dodgers, but then he got wrecked by Anaheim as well. So I don't know what we could take away from that, although it was at this horrific A's stadium, which is very hitter conducive. But even so, don't love the way he's been pitching recently. 5.06 ERA, 1.41 whip. Bad numbers. Of course, Philly has never seen him before, so you do got maybe that chance that maybe an under does make sense here, but 71% of tickets, 84% of the cash on the over. Total sitting at 10. It's actually dropped a little to 10 with juice to the under. I was going to say under juice. That sounds really, really weird there. So I still wouldn't want to do it. I mean, I basically am never going to play an under or recommend to play an under in this Oakland stadium, or excuse me, the Sacramento, the homeless stadium, the AAA stadium there. The money actually looks like it's coming in fading Philadelphia as well, down from minus 180 to minus 165. 89% of tickets and only 87% of the cash. So crazily enough, it looks like some of the professional money is actually taking a shot with Oakland at a big underdog price. And of course, those pros are not saying that Oakland's going to win the game necessarily. They are saying they think they have a better chance to win than what the odds are. But still, I mean, there's no way I would want to fade Luzardo, though. He's just too good. He might struggle a little bit in this in this environment. But the thing is, he did just pitch at Coors Field in his last outing, and he dominated. He went 6 innings, allowing 1 earned run, didn't allow any home runs, 10-3 strikeout walk ratio, and he's allowed only 2 home runs this entire season. So Luzardo is used to playing in these in a bad pitching environment because he just did. So Luzardo might not get tripped up by this A's stadium. Next up, I actually have 2 more plays to still get to here. And one is I'm going to play Miami, or I'm going to recommend to play on Miami, I should say, on the money line at plus 115. Here's the deal. Here's the deal, Jack. Look fat. I'm not Joe Biden, though. I don't have cancer in my prostate. Anaheim just lost an 8-game win streak, man. They pulled off multiple sweeps in a row. They beat Miami in the first game of this series, and it's like, when is this going to end? Because the Angels are not this good. Well, it ended, and a lot of times the public, they like these teams that are on these big runs, and they'll think, oh, well, that team just lost. Maybe they're going to bounce back in the next game, but I don't think that's the way that it works, man. When a team loses a long win streak like that, more often than not, it hangs them over into the next game. So I think that's what's going to happen here, man. If we look at the bullpen usage, I mean, the Marlins actually had Junk come in. He's a junk pitcher, man. He ate up all the innings. He pitched 5 innings, so the Marlins actually saved their bullpen, although Anaheim kind of did too with Dana pitching 3 innings yesterday. Neither starter went deep into the game, but Anaheim's bullpen is one of the worst in baseball. I actually think they surpass Washington as the worst bullpen ERA in Major League Baseball right now, so I think we could still lean towards Miami here with the bullpens because Anaheim's bullpen is that bad. And even though Anaheim was hitting well for a while, I still don't think their offense is that good, even though, yeah, Miami's is worse. But I think it all kind of balances out with the starting pitching matchup here and with the situation where I think Anaheim, they're not used to losing right now. I think they're going to be hung over coming into this game. And Edward Cabrera actually is kind of sneakily a fairly decent pitcher. 5.5 ERA, 1.49 whip. I understand all of that looks really bad, but this month he has a 13-3 strikeout walk ratio, got at least 5 innings in all 3 starts, and hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any of those starts, including one against the Cubs, who hit pretty well. That was the one where he did give up the 3 earned runs, but he had a 7-1 strikeout walk ratio. So he's actually pitching pretty well this month with a 3.45 ERA. And if you look back at his career, he's just been too wild, man. And granted, yes, he's given up too many hits this year as well. More than 1 per inning, but he's always been like a pretty good strikeout pitcher who can really come out and like actually throw like some heat and mow guys down. He does have that ability. He's just usually too wild. But I like him here. He's in good form right now, I think, and against Anaheim. In 16 at-bats, I know it's a small sample size, and it means other than these 4 batters who have seen him, the other hitters haven't even seen him before. So I think that's a little bit of an advantage to Cabrera as well. But they're only 2 for 16 off him with 4 strikeouts, no walks. He's held him to a 125 average and 250 OPS. So Cabrera has actually done pretty well there. And we're getting the younger, more talented pitcher with Cabrera up against a guy who's 10 years his senior, Kyle Hendricks, who has a pretty atrocious 5.32 ERA, even though I know 1.27 whip isn't that bad, but it's certainly not good. And I don't think he's in great form right now, man. I mean, this month, 15-4 strikeout walk ratio, 4.07 ERA. I mean, it's very mediocre. He's allowed 5 home runs this month. I mean, that's not great. He's allowed at least 3 earned runs in the last 3 starts. He's just not that great a pitcher. 28-16 strikeout walk ratio this season with 9 home runs allowed in 47 1/3. Yes, he's allowed fewer than 1 hit per inning, but Hendricks, he's a guy I've just liked to fade for a while, man. I mean, he's kind of fading in his career, I would say. The last couple of years, his numbers, well, actually, 2023, his numbers actually were decent for the Cubs, but all the years surrounding that, 2021, 2022, 2024, his numbers were just pretty bad. So I think he's just kind of nearing the end of his rope here. And against Miami, his numbers are actually not good. I know it's a small sample size of 20. Sanchez is 2 for 4 off him with a home run. Ryan Weathers is actually 2 for 2 off him. We should put him in the lineup, baby. I know he's a pitcher, so we could kind of throw him out because he's not going to be hitting here. Quantrill is 0 for 2, and he's a pitcher, so we could throw him out too. But even if we just take these numbers for what they are, they're 6 for 20 off him with that 1 home run, 1-1 strikeout walk ratio, 300 average, and 833 OPS. So I don't like Hendricks here. I don't trust him. The public is on Anaheim, expecting them to bounce back. Their public was 76% of tickets, but only 67% of the cash. So the market read is telling you the bigger money is on Miami. And the line has actually dropped from minus 145 to minus 126 on Anaheim. So the market read, there's reverse line movement against a public Anaheim team. So I like it. So Miami is the recommended play there in that one. And then to finish it off, we have two more games to talk about because the big Sunday night game. But San Diego, Atlanta is the last one I'm recommending a play on. And I think it's pretty straightforward. It's an under. I don't know what happened to Michael King yesterday, by the way. He might be injured, so that's very unfortunate because I do like Michael King. You can find a lot of spots to play on him. But this starting pitching matchup looks really nice to me for San Diego and Atlanta. There was similar bullpen usage from both teams yesterday, which wasn't a lot of bullpen usage, but we got two pitchers here who can get you deep into the game as well. San Diego has a top 1/3 bullpen in baseball. Atlanta's is probably in the top half of baseball as well. So you have two decent bullpens here, two really good starters in my opinion. So this looks like an under. I think the 8 is actually slightly high, although granted, Acuna is back for the Braves, so that helps their offense a bit. Profar, though, is still not back as he's suspended for PEDs, so he's not going to be able to face his former team here in San Diego. San Diego's offense is still good as well, but Dylan Cease, I mean, he's pitching well, 28-7 strikeout walk ratio, 2.96 ERA this month, hasn't allowed more than 3 earned runs in any start. I mean, he's done well. He's gone at least 6 2/3 in the last 3 starts. He's pitching well. I mean, as expected, he's a good pitcher. His overall numbers don't tell you the whole story. 4.5 ERA, 1.24 whip. Those numbers I think are going to improve again because he is one of the better pitchers in baseball, really, not just in the staff. And against the Braves, his numbers are okay, and 82 at bats, 27-9 strikeout walk ratio, 256 average allowed, a slightly on the higher side, 720 OPS, but it's still below that like 750 threshold that I tend to kind of look at here. So I think his numbers are good enough, and he's trending in the right direction, pitching well right now. So I like Cease in this game, but I also like Wnba. So really, I think it's going to take both offenses to get over the total of 8 here. So I like the under. Wnba is pitching well for the Braves here. 3.52 ERA, 1.06 whip. I mean, debatably, he's actually their best starter at this point. His strikeout rate has kind of dropped this month, so it's a little bit concerning. 16-6 strikeout walk ratio. He's got at least 6 innings in 3 straight starts, though, allowing 0, 2, and 4 earned runs, which isn't really that bad. Fewer than 1 hit per inning this month, although his ERA 4.56. I don't think that's indicative of how good he actually is. And against San Diego, his numbers are actually good. In 39 at-bats, he's got a 7-1 strikeout walk ratio, 128 average, and 329 OPS. So he has really pitched well against San Diego. So I like the under here, even though there are some slight concerns with Wnba just not being totally in form recently, and Cease having numbers that are a little bit trending towards the mediocre on against the Braves here. But I think the money is definitely coming in the unders. You've seen it drop from 8.5 juice to the under to 8 juice to the over. 57% of tickets on the over, but 93% of the cash on the under. So I think the money is definitely coming in on the under here. And we do see Atlanta getting a little bit of the money as well, with 61% of the cash, 53% of the tickets, but the line dropping from minus 140 to minus 136. I agree with the Atlanta side as well, just because Wnba has the better matchup numbers, but he's been in the worst form. I think the under is the way to go, though. I mean, you got two really good pitchers, so that's what I tend to look for here. And I was thinking the total was going to be 7.5, and it's 8, so either way, I mean, if you can get that number above 7, 7 is the key number in that range there. You need that extra run to break the 3-3 tie. So I like under. It really better not go into extra innings, man. Let's not jinx it. And then to finish it off, we do have Dodgers-Mets to finish it off. And on the surface, this looks like a total mismatch, right? With Landon Knack against Kodai Senga. Senga's been excellent this year. Knack, not so much. 6.17 ERA, 1.54 whip, bad numbers. Not really in great form recently, although a 16-4 strikeout walk ratio doesn't look that bad, but he's allowed 9 earned runs over the last 9 2/3 innings across 2 starts. Not great. Both at home, though, and now he gets to at least go out on the road. But the Mets have done well against them. Small sample size of 10 at-bats, but they have hit 400 off him with a 1,300 OPS. Vientos is 1-for-1 off him with a grand slam, which is kind of part of that, but still, Knack has not done well against them. Senga, Actually hasn't done well against the Dodgers either, though, even though he's pitching really well this year. The 1.43 ERA, 1.19 whip. There's not a lot that you can disagree with here, but his strikeout walk ratio this month, even though he has a 1.66 ERA this month, that walk rate is really bad. 22 to 13 strikeout walk ratio. So I don't think he can keep getting away with this, man. He's walked 3 or more batters in 3 of the last 4 starts. He's too wild. I mean, he's got to get that under control, even though his whip is actually still good because he's not giving up that many hits, well below 1 hit per inning on the season and this month as well. So he's been good, but this walk number, as of late, this month, his walk number has been really, really bad. And against the Dodgers, his numbers are actually not good. In 34 at-bats, 7 strikeouts, 10 walks. So again, the walks have been hurting him. He's walked more than he struck out against the Dodgers so far. 294 average and 955 OPS allowed to the Dodgers. So that's actually not good. Mookie Betts is 4 for 4 off him with a double, a home run, and a walk. So Betts just completely dominates him. So if you want to look for some player prop potential there, hits plus runs plus RBI. So even though on the surface this looks like a total pitching mismatch in favor of the Mets, I am not quite sure that it is. And the Mets are coming off that win last night. Again, David Peterson overperforming yet again. Got them a win yesterday, I believe. He pitched well again yesterday, I think. I don't trust Landon Knack, though, so I can't quite do this. But I think the money is actually coming in on the Dodgers in this game in the market. The market read is fairly strong on the Dodgers. It's down from minus 130 to minus 113 on the Mets. 60% of tickets and only 55% of the cash. So we got a public Mets team. When do you ever see the Dodgers not being public? Well, it's a situation like this where they have a guy with bad pitching numbers on the mound in Knack. You actually get the Dodgers at a decent price. You actually get them at an underdog price here when they're on the road against a decent team. But I think the value probably is on the Dodgers here just because Senga's walk numbers recently and his numbers against the Dodgers are bad, but Knack's numbers are bad against the Mets too. So I think an over also might be the way to look here. You got 84% of tickets, 97% of the cash on the over, sitting at 8.5. Not a very high total. So I like the over there, and I probably slightly lean to the Dodgers as well, just because that's the way the money is coming in reverse, moving it. It's a public Nets team, and I think it's just kind of misleading. Even though, yes, Senga is definitely the better of the 2 pitchers overall, but in this matchup, I think it's a lot closer than it looks on the surface. Mostly that both pitchers might not do that well in that game. So the over, I think, is the way to look. That's going to do it for me. The plays I'm recommending today, we do have a lot. We have 4 baseball plays, 1 NBA, 1 NHL, 1 WNBA. NBA, Knicks plus the points. NHL, Dallas, money line underdog. WNBA, Phoenix minus the points. MLB, Detroit Tigers. I almost said Lions. Lions and Tigers. They don't have a Bears, though. Detroit, run line, minus 1.5. Miami, money line. Oh, and I forgot, Chicago Cubs I added. Money line is a favorite. Miami is an underdog money line and under 8 in the San Diego-Atlanta game. That's going to do it. Tower Gang Toad on Twitter. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Patreon.com/Tower Gang to support the best podcast ever. And go support my fundraiser, man. GiveSendGo.com/Tower Gang Toad to give me some help there in this transition period after being canceled over cords. And then patreon.com/Tower Gang. Oh, I already said that, right? To support the podcast. Also, I meant go get your Bohemian Grove tickets, as I think there might be a few left, and you can go hang out with us live in late February. What am I? I'm so out of it. Late June. I am so out of it, man. I apologize. Late June. That's going to do it. Have a good one. Peace out, guys.